Welcome to part 2 of the Breaker Blocks Introduction and Tutorial series. If you haven't seen it already, you should start with part 1, an introduction to basic Breaker Blocks gameplay and how to win the game. In this video, I'll explain the 7 different action tiles in Breaker Blocks, as well as when and how to use them. To start, there are several general rules and restrictions on how to use action tiles. The first of these is that you cannot have more than one copy of the same action type in your hand at a time. For example, I can't draw an Annihilate and then draw another Annihilate because I would have more than one in my hand at once. The second is that actions cannot target copies of themselves. You'll see how that one makes sense as we go. The last rule is that actions are activated the moment they hit the board with no additional cost. They are not reactivated when they're rearranged. With that, let's get started. The first action type is Annihilate. It looks like a lightning bolt. When you play the Annihilate tile, you target another tile on the board using the same restrictions as Rearrange, so something with nothing attached. In this case, as blue, it's a good idea to annihilate this 3. This 3 has nothing attached, and it's a very powerful tile. When I say destroyed, I mean it's removed from the game entirely. It's a good idea to put it face down off to the side, so you know not to play it again. The next action type is Automate. It looks like a loop with 2 arrows pointing towards themselves. When you play Automate, you can play another tile directly from one of the piles. So as orange, I could play from the orange power tiles, or I could play one of the action tiles. In this case, I want to make up for that lost 3. The next action type is Accelerate. It looks like 1 arrow splitting into 3. When you play Accelerate, you get to draw 3 tiles, and you can draw from your own pile, or you can draw from the action pile. Now this is a good example of what I mean by action tiles cannot target copies of themselves. I can't use one Accelerate to draw another one. So in this case, as blue, I'll draw a couple power tiles and an action tile. The next one is a tricky one. It's called Attenuate. It looks like 2 arrows pointing away from the center. When you play Attenuate, you get to remove 1 tile from each side of the board, sending it back to the pile. Again, it obeys the same restrictions as Rearrange, so something with nothing attached to it. As orange, I'll get rid of one of my action tiles, since I don't need it anymore. And then I'll send one of blue's power tiles away as well, giving me a bit of a power advantage. The next action type is Agitate, which looks like 2 arrows that are parallel and pointing in opposite directions. When you play Agitate, you get 2 rearrange actions, one after another, as though you are your opponent. You can normally only mess with your side of the board, so this is your chance to rearrange your opponent's circuits to your liking. In this case, I might move an enemy's 3 and then one of their actions, just to change the way that their side of the board is built. The next one is probably the most irritating tile in the game, and it's fittingly called Aggravate. It looks like 4 arrows pointing up. When you play Aggravate, you target 1 tile in your own hand, so as orange I might target my 2, and 1 tile in your opponent's hand, and I like my very bad 0 in the opponent's hand. Everything else gets discarded, so I remove the orange, blue, or the orange tile, the blue tiles, and the rest of the actions. This is great when your opponent is hoarding tiles and you don't have very many to lose. The final action type is Authenticate. It looks like 4 arrows pointing towards the center of the tile. by itself, Authenticate doesn't do much. It's just a locked tile. It can't be rearranged, it can't be destroyed, it can't be altered in any way. However, when a second Authenticate tile hits the board, that ends the game. So the goal here is really to be winning by just enough that you can play the second Authenticate tile while you're ahead. So as orange, this is a good idea because orange is winning circuit 1 and circuit 3, while blue is only winning circuit 2. So the game would end in orange's favor. That's it as far as basic action tiles go and how to use them. In a later video, I'll cover advanced strategy, including some of the tricks you can use to get ahead. Thanks for watching.